chosen one. Listen closely. You saw it before anyone else did. When the atmosphere shifted, when smiles turned sharp and words began to twist. Your spirit reacted before your mind could explain why. Heaven had already tuned your sight, sharpening it like a blade hidden in light. While others were charmed by illusion, you caught the flicker beneath the mask. You didn't stumble into discernment. It was carved into your spirit long before the conflict came. You were built to see what others deny. They laughed, didn't they? Called you too intense, too suspicious, too deep. But you knew what you felt was not paranoia, it was divine sensitivity. Something in you could sense when the spiritual air grew heavy. You didn't have proof, but you had peace, and peace has always been a better compass than evidence. You didn't argue. You didn't defend yourself. You simply watched. You waited. Because wisdom doesn't need to shout. There is a strength in quiet seeing. You carried that stillness like a lantern in a cave, never loud, yet always glowing. Every time you chose silence. It wasn't cowardice, it was timing. Because discernment without timing becomes destruction. And God was teaching you when to speak and when to hold your tongue. You've learned that some revelations are not meant for confrontation, they're meant for confirmation. You remember those moments, the tightening in your chest, the heaviness in a conversation, the sudden shift in someone's energy. It wasn't imagination, it was insight. Heaven was alerting you that not every smile is safe. Not every alliance is divine. You learned to listen between words, to feel what eyes tried to hide. That's a rare gift. Few carry it. Even fewer steward it well. Let me tell you about someone like you. He walked through a long season of confusion, surrounded by people who spoke light but lived in shadow. Every time he tried to fit in, his spirit felt uneasy. He prayed for peace but kept finding truth instead. He didn't know that sometimes God answers comfort with clarity. One night, exhausted from trying to please everyone, he fell asleep and dreamed of a sand glass cracked at its center. The sand still flowed, but slower, measured. In that dream, God whispered, "Your sight is like this sand. It reveals what time will eventually prove." When he woke, he understood his discernment wasn't punishment, it was protection. That same grace rests on you. Your insight is not there to expose people for sport, it's there to guard your destiny. When you see motives before they're spoken, that's heaven giving you strategy. When you sense storms before clouds appear, that's God positioning you to pray, not panics. Remember, your gift is sacred. Handle it gently. You are like a compass in a world, spinning without direction. Others get lost in emotion. You read the unseen winds. You walk through rooms and atmospheres shift. Conversations change tone. Hearts feel conviction, though you haven't said a word. It's not intimidation, it's illumination. Light always unsettles what hides in darkness. There's beauty in this calling, but also a cost. Seeing truth means losing illusion. Sometimes it means walking away from comfort. Yet even there, grace meets you. It teaches you that discernment is not isolation, it's invitation. God calls you closer, deeper, here. When the noise of the world grows louder, his whisper remains steady. Stay awake. My watcher, stay alert. My messenger. The word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and staff comfort me. That's the scripture of the seer, the anthem of those who walk through shadows, carrying unshakable light. You've walked through valleys others couldn't survive, and yet here you are still standing, still seeing, still discerning. That is proof that grace has been guiding you all along. So now, pause for a moment. Reflect. If this message mirrors what your spirit already knows, share it not for attention, but for alignment. Someone else is searching for confirmation that their discernment isn't madness. You could be the voice that steadies them. Comment 777 below as your declaration that you will keep your eyes open and your heart pure. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and stay close. Your journey of revelation has only just begun. You are not alone in this clarity. Every revelation you carry lights the path for another weary soul. Keep walking. Keep seeing heaven trusts your vision. The unveiling has only begun. They didn't understand you, did they? When you tried to explain what you felt, they dismissed it as imagination. You spoke about shifts in spirit, about how someone's presence suddenly felt different, and they laughed as if discernment was superstition. But deep down, you knew. You were never trying to accuse anyone. You were simply trying to make sense of what your spirit already saw. That's what it means to live awake among the unaware. Being misunderstood is the hidden cost of sight. You see what others won't admit. And because they can't feel what you feel, they question your stability. Yet, through every misjudgment, heaven kept you calm. You learned that you don't need validation when truth is your witness. Discernment doesn't demand applause. It simply waits for time to catch up. Think back to moments when you sensed betrayal before it took shape. A conversation that ended too quickly. A smile that flickered too long. You told yourself, "Don't assume." You prayed. Maybe it's just me. But heaven doesn't whisper without purpose. You were hearing the early thunder of something about to break, and when it finally did, you remembered that moment, realizing God had tried to prepare you. You're not bitter for being right. You're sober. You've learned that knowing too soon is both mercy and weight. It saves you from false peace, but denies you naive comfort. Yet, even in that burden, you've discovered gratitude, because every misunderstanding became proof that your spirit is tuned to frequencies others can't hear. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young man, quiet, observant, loyal. He never wanted to see evil in anyone. But discernment didn't give him the choice. He noticed inconsistencies, contradictions in actions and words. One day, he confided in a friend, saying, "I can't explain it, but something feels off." The friend dismissed him. Months later, the truth surfaced. Everything he sensed had been accurate. When it did, the young man didn't rejoice. He wept, not because he had been right, but because he realized how costly truth can be when it arrives early. You've lived that story. You've seen ahead and paid the emotional price of vision. Still, you haven't hardened. You still love, still forgive, still hope. That's how heaven knows you're ready for greater insight, because your discernment hasn't made you cynical, only cautious. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It's spiritual intelligence. It's the same awareness that guided prophets through peril and kept warriors from traps. You may not stand behind pulpits, but your spirit, stands guard over your destiny. You've learned to move carefully, to listen deeply, to act slowly. That's discernment maturing. You've also noticed that discernment sharpens in solitude. The more you withdraw from noise, the clearer the whispers become. There's something sacred about that quiet space between thought and revelation, where intuition becomes instruction. You might feel isolated, but that's not rejection, it's refinement. Heaven often hides you to heighten your hearing. When people misread your silence, remember, they don't see the weight you carry. They see calm. God sees obedience. It takes strength to stay silent when you could defend yourself. It takes restraint to pray instead of retaliate. But every time you choose stillness, you prove that you trust the one who sees all things clearly. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 2, verse 6, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." That's where your discernment flows, from not suspicion, not intuition, but divine conversation. You hear what others miss because you listen where others won't. One day, the same voices that doubted you will admit you were right. But when that moment comes, you won't need to say, "I told you so." You'll smile. Because vindication was never your goal, clarity was. You didn't need them to see what you saw. You only needed them to know you saw in love, not pride. So you keep walking quietly, carrying unseen wisdom like oil in your lamp. You move through life alert, gentle, sure. You're not chasing proof anymore. You've become it. And though their words once wounded you, now they only remind you how far you've grown. You've learned that misunderstanding is the birthplace of mastery. Every doubt cast upon you became another spark that refined your discernment into pure flame, steady, bright, unwavering in every shadow. Soon, they'll realize your silence wasn't retreat, but revelation. You were never reacting, you were reading. You were watching the pages of time unfold exactly as heaven wrote them. When they finally understand, you won't need to explain. Truth will speak for you in perfect peace. You began to notice it, the shift in atmosphere, the quiet rearranging of faces when truth came near. You didn't need evidence. You could feel it in the way conversations grew shorter. Laughter lost warmth, and alliances suddenly fractured without cause. You saw through the fog before it cleared, and that is why they feared you. Your discernment stripped away the disguise of good intentions and revealed what was really driving them: envy, insecurity, even ambition. There were things spoken in secret that your spirit overheard, not with ears, but with discernment. You didn't ask for this gift, it found you. Heaven trusted you with sight, and sight, once given, cannot be undone. You saw betrayal forming like a storm behind polite smiles, and you knew God was preparing you for exposure before it arrived. It was strange at first, wasn't it, to feel a warning about something no one else could see. You wanted to doubt yourself, to believe the best of everyone. But discernment doesn't lie. It's the language of truth, whispered by heaven to the heart of those who listen. One night, while you sat in silence, your mind replayed moments that suddenly made sense, the comments that felt off, the hugs that hid envy, the sudden distance after your breakthrough. That's when you realized you weren't losing people. You were losing deception. Heaven had stepped in to clear your circle. Let me tell you about another chosen one, a woman who prayed to walk in wisdom. She thought it would mean knowledge or clarity, but what she received instead was discernment. Overnight, her perception deepened. She could tell when someone's smile hid bitterness. She felt grief in rooms filled with laughter. It was heavy at first, like carrying thunder in her chest. But then she understood. Discernment isn't about suspicion, it's about direction. It's how heaven says, this path, not that one. One day, she was invited into a business deal that seemed perfect. Every detail looked divine, every door wide open. But her spirit felt uneasy. She didn't understand why. Everyone else called it favor. Still, she prayed for confirmation. Within a week, hidden motives surfaced: lies, manipulation, greed. That's when she wept. Not in fear, but in gratitude. Her discernment had saved her future. You've had moments like that too. The unseen warnings, the near misses, the sudden urges to pause when everything looked safe. That was God protecting you through your own awareness. When you learn to honor that voice, you stop being surprised by betrayal and start being grateful for revelation. Discernment is like standing in a lighthouse watching ships approach. You can see dangers they can't. You can shout warnings they might ignore, yet you still shine. Because even if they don't listen, your light fulfills its purpose. That's you, the lighthouse in the storm. Steady while waves crash against your foundation. The apostle reminds us in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 10, the Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God. How that same Spirit searches through you, uncovering truth hidden beneath appearances. You don't expose to shame, you reveal to heal. You don't discern to judge, you discern to protect. That's what sets you apart from the world's watchers. Your vision is guided by compassion, not curiosity. You have to know, chosen one, that this gift will always make some uncomfortable. Those who live in pretense cannot stand near authentic perception. Don't take their distance personally. Light doesn't apologize for revealing what darkness hides. Keep your eyes pure, your motives steady. Let love remain your lens. If you've ever felt truth rise in your chest before proof appeared, this is your confirmation. You are not crazy. You are called. Heaven trusted you with early sight because you can be trusted not to misuse it. Comment, I discern truth. Let that be your declaration. You're not just surviving what others plotted, you're mastering the language of heaven. When you type those words, you're agreeing with the Spirit that guides your perception, confirming that you will keep walking in clarity, no matter who misunderstands it. When you write those words, I discern truth, you are not boasting, you're bearing witness. You're saying, my eyes belong to God, and my vision serves His light alone. Oh, each time you declare it, you remind darkness that you're awake, untouchable, and aligned with divine purpose. Your discernment is not arrogance, it's obedience in motion. Type it not as repetition, but revelation. Let those 3 words become a shield over your mind, a banner that says, I choose clarity over confusion. And as you speak them, heaven responds. Insight deepens. Peace settles. The fog lifts. You begin to see not with suspicion, but with sacred understanding, truth wrapped in grace. There are moments when your discernment feels less like a gift and more like a burden. You sense things before they happen. You feel shifts in energy when no one else does. Sometimes you wish you could turn it off, just to experience peace like others do, to live unaware for a while. But you were not designed for blindness. The same sensitivity that drains you is the one that keeps you safe. Discernment is your radar. It alerts you to spiritual storms before they break. You can walk into a room and feel whether peace or tension rules it. It's not superstition, it's spiritual science. The calibration of your heart to heaven's frequency. You've learned to trust that inner signal, even when it confuses you, because when your spirit warns you, heaven is already at work, shifting outcomes. There was a time when you doubted this gift. You thought, maybe I'm just overthinking. But then came moments too precise to ignore the text you didn't reply to that saved you from chaos. The opportunity you felt uneasy about that later fell apart. Every confirmation became proof that what you carry is divine technology. Let me tell you a story. There was once a woman who could sense storms long before clouds appeared. She was a gardener. Every time the air changed, even slightly, she'd start gathering her tools. Others mocked her. The sky is clear, they said. But she trusted her instinct. Hours later, rain would pour, flooding the soil, while others rushed to save what they could. Her garden remained intact. That's discernment. It's preparing before others even see a reason to. You are like that gardener. Heaven trained you to feel subtle shifts, to respond to what eyes can't see. You no longer need dramatic signs. You read the atmosphere. Every spiritual change, every emotional tremor your heart notices. That's not paranoia, it's partnership with the Spirit. Yet, discernment also demands discernment of self. The more sensitive you become, the more you must guard your peace. Every revelation doesn't deserve your reaction. You've learned that silence is sometimes the strongest response. Not every truth must be spoken. Some truths are meant to be prayed. You are learning to separate what is shown for instruction from what is revealed for intercession. You see, discernment is more than seeing darkness. It's recognizing light. It's the balance between caution and compassion. You can see wrong motives and still choose mercy. You can feel deceit and still speak blessing. That's maturity, when revelation no longer provokes reaction, only responsibility. There will be times when your sensitivity isolates you. You'll walk alone while others rush ahead, blind to what you sense. But heaven has always worked with watchmen, not crowds. You're one of them, the few who stay awake while others sleep. Your sleepless nights, those sudden heavinesses that press your chest, those are not random. They are assignments. You intercede for what others can't even perceive. According to what is written in the book of Hosea, chapter 14, verse 9, the ways of the Lord are right, the righteous walk in them, but the rebellious stumble in them. Discernment keeps you walking straight, even when paths twist. It helps you see where rebellion hides in disguise, where manipulation wears kindness like perfume. It gives you the courage to walk away quietly before damage begins. That's not fear, it's foresight. There's beauty in walking with sight. Others don't understand. While they chase appearances, you chase alignment. You measure everything by peace, not applause. That's how you've avoided traps that were set for you, by sensing their vibration before they triggered. And sometimes, God uses your discernment not to protect you, but to prepare you to protect others. You've warned friends of dangers they didn't see. You've interceded for people unaware they were under attack. Heaven trusted you to stand in the gap unseen. That's the secret work of the gifted, being a guard on the wall while others sleep in safety. You may never receive credit for what you prevented, but heaven keeps record. Every unseen act of discernment, every quiet prayer that stopped chaos before it started, is written in eternity. You don't need applause for obedience. Your reward is peace, the peace of knowing you stayed sensitive when it would have been easier to stay blind. So, keep listening, keep feeling, keep discerning. Don't despise your sensitivity. It's the mark of your calling. You're not too much. You're just tuned finely enough to hear heaven's whispers in a noisy world. One day, you'll look back and realize every uneasy feeling was divine protection in disguise. Nothing you sensed was wasted. Every whisper, every pause, was heaven guiding your steps homeward. There is a silence that follows revelation, the stillness that comes when truth has spoken and needs no echo. You know that silence well. You've walked through seasons where your sight cost you company, where your discernment made you feel like a foreigner in your own circle. Yet somehow, even in that loneliness, there was peace. The kind that doesn't come from people, but from purpose. You see, chosen one, every revelation is also a responsibility. God didn't give you discernment to merely see. He gave it so you could serve. The same eyes that expose darkness also reveal opportunity. You're not just a seer, you're a servant of light. Imagine yourself as a candle in a great cathedral. You burn quietly. Your flame, small compared to the vastness of the room. People walk by, some pause. Others pass, but you keep glowing. That light, though gentle, is sacred. It warms hearts without demanding attention. That's what your obedience does. It lights corners words can't reach. Still, every flame needs oil. Even the purest light fades if it's never refilled. In the same way, this space, the messages, the voice, the breath of inspiration requires oil to continue, not as a transaction, but as an offering of alignment. When you choose to give, you're not paying for words. You're pouring oil into a lamp that has already lit your path. Think of it like planting a seed into the soil of your own discernment. When you water what feeds you, you keep the river flowing not just for yourself, but for others wandering through drought. That's what giving does. It's never about the amount, it's about agreement. It's you saying, "This message mattered to me, and I want to keep this light alive." Learn. There's something deeply human about generosity. It rewrites spiritual equations. The same way your discernment sees beyond appearance, your giving goes beyond transaction. It's gratitude turned into motion, faith translated into fuel. And let's be clear, this is not pressure. No one is watching your hand. True giving is like a quiet river choosing its own direction. It flows because it wants to, not because it's forced. So if ever your heart feels led, only then consider sowing a small gift. Like adding another drop of oil to a shared flame. You're helping keep this sanctuary glowing for the next weary soul who needs to find their way home. Let me tell you a story about a boy and a lantern. He lived in a village swallowed by fog. Every evening, he climbed a hill and lit his light so travelers could find their path. One day, a stranger asked, "Why waste your oil for people you'll never meet?" The boy smiled. "Because once, I was the traveler." That's what this message space is. A lantern on the hill, when you choose to support, like, or share. You're not promoting a voice, you're lifting a light. You may never see every life it reaches, but heaven counts every flicker. According to what is written in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 19, "And my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches in glory in Christ Jesus." That promise isn't about receiving more, it's about trusting the flow. When you give from gratitude, God multiplie peace, not just provision. The same hand that blesses others will never leave yours empty. So if these messages have spoken to you, tap like as a silent amen. Share this word as a candle passed from one hand to another. Subscribe if you wish to keep walking in this rhythm of revelation. And if your heart whispers, donate as an act of gratitude, not obligation, like breathing life back into the flame that once warmed you. Because this isn't about keeping a page alive, it's about keeping hope alive. Every engagement, every kind gesture, every seed of support is another heartbeat added to the message itself. And even if all you do is listen quietly, know this, you are still part of the light. Every open heart sustains the flame. Every silent listener is a breath that keeps this fire from fading. When you share light, it multiplies. A single spark can awaken 1,000 souls still wandering in darkness. Your smallest act of faith can become someone else's answered prayer tonight. Every click, every kind word, every silent nod is a ripple in eternity. Love doesn't vanish. It travels through algorithms, through hearts, through time itself. Keep shining. Chosen one, your presence keeps heaven's rhythm alive on earth. As long as you keep your flame burning, hope will always find another home in the dark. There is a rhythm to revelation. Each moment of truth arrives exactly when heaven intends. You've learned that timing matters just as much as sight. Discernment without patience becomes chaos. But when you wait for divine timing, everything unfolds with precision, like a symphony where every note knows its cue. For so long, you wondered why God showed you things early, but delayed the proof. You saw deception months before it surfaced, sensed betrayal before it broke. And yet heaven whispered, "Be still." That was your training in timing. Heaven wasn't ignoring your clarity, it was perfecting your trust. Divine timing isn't about delay, it's about alignment. A seed planted in winter will die in the cold, but the same seed in spring bursts with life. That's what your discernment has been teaching you. When to speak, when to stay silent, when to move, and when to let God move. You remember those nights of questioning, don't you? When you asked, "Why show me if I can't act on it yet?" But heaven answers through patience. The revelation wasn't wasted, it was preparation. You were learning how to hold information without letting it turn into anxiety. You were learning how to carry sight without losing peace. Let me tell you about a chosen one who understood this painfully well. He was gifted with vision. He could sense opportunities and dangers before anyone else. But every time he spoke too soon, shouts followed. He warned people who weren't ready to listen and lost peace in the process. Then one day, during prayer, he saw an image, a clock with wings made of light. The hands moved slowly, and a voice whispered, "You can see time, but you don't control it." That moment changed everything. He learned to trust divine rhythm to act when heaven says, "Go," not when his emotions demand it. That's your story too. You've learned to wait, even when it hurts. You've seen glimpses of promises not yet fulfilled and visions still forming in silence. But heaven is never late, it's deliberate. What's coming is not delayed, it's developing. Think of it like watching a sunrise. The sky begins to change long before the sun appears. Colors stretch. The air softens. And shadows fade. That's discernment, seeing the first light before anyone else notices the dawn. But if you rush it, you'll miss the beauty of its unfolding. You've reached a place where your discernment no longer drives you, it grounds you. You don't panic when you sense something coming, you prepare. You don't overreact to hidden motives, you observe. That's spiritual maturity, calm in the face of chaos, peace in the presence of revelation. According to what is written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it lingers. Wait for it, it will surely come. It will not delay." End of. That word is for you. Everything you've seen, every confirmation, every warning, every hidden sign is part of a timeline designed by heaven. Nothing is random. Even what seemed like missed moments were divine rehearsals for your real calling. You're not waiting aimlessly, you're aligning. You're learning how to discern not just what God is showing, but when He wants you to move. That's the mastery of discernment timing, not tension. And now, heaven is signaling again. You're entering a season where what you saw long ago will finally begin to manifest. Hidden truths will unfold in public view. Promises you nearly gave up on will start breathing again. The waiting was never punishment, it was preparation for exposure. So breathe. Be patient with what's unfolding. When you see delays, remember they are not denials. They are divine pauses that protect your purpose. You're not behind schedule. You're being synchronized with heaven's calendar. And when the moment comes, you'll know it. Peace will settle. Doors will align. And everything that once resisted you will suddenly cooperate. That's divine timing at work, effortless precision. If this resonates with your spirit, if you've been feeling like you're standing between promise and fulfillment, this is your confirmation. You are in the right season. Heaven hasn't forgotten you, it's aligning you. Comment 222, not as a number, but as a declaration of divine timing. The number 2 represents agreement, and repeating it 3 times symbolizes complete alignment, heaven, earth, and your spirit moving as one. When you write it, you're saying, "I trust the appointed time." You're surrendering the urge to rush and stepping into rhythm with heaven's clock. Because when you align with God's timing, you stop striving. You start flowing. You stop chasing what's not ready. And you start attracting what's already yours. The waiting isn't empty, it's holy. Every second is a seed. So hold your peace. Chosen one. The hour you've been sensing is approaching, and the same God who revealed it to you early is faithful to make it visible in due time. There is a strange silence that falls when masks begin to crack. You've seen it before. The awkward pause in a conversation. The sudden shift in tone. The way eyes dart away when truth steps too close. At first, you thought you were imagining it. But then you realized it wasn't your perception that changed. It was their pretenses dissolving under your gaze. Your discernment has always had that quiet power. It doesn't need confrontation to expose deceit. It simply stands still, and falsehood starts to unravel. You carry a light, that doesn't announce itself, yet it forces everything around it to become honest. That's the paradox of divine clarity it reveals by existing for a long time. People thought they could hide their motives from you. They underestimated how deeply your spirit listens while they mastered words. You read energy. You could feel truth quiver beneath lies, could sense when kindness was laced with envy. And though it hurt to realize that not every smile meant safety, you've grown into acceptance. You no longer resent revelation, you revere it. There was a season when exposure felt like loss. People you trusted drifted away once the truth surfaced. Their absence stung, but over time, you saw it differently. It wasn't rejection, it was release. God was not removing love from your life, He was removing illusion. What left you was not loyalty, it was the performance of it. Let me tell you about a woman who walked this same road. She was gentle, kind, and slow to judge, but her discernment was fierce. Whenever despite entered her presence, it couldn't breathe long. Friends began to call her intimidating, though she had never raised her voice. Eventually, she asked God, "Why do people turn away when I've done nothing wrong?" Heaven answered softly, "Because they meet themselves in your light." That truth stayed with her, and it stays with you too. The reason they pull back is not because of your harshness, but because of their reflection. Light forces revelation, sometimes painful, sometimes liberating, but always necessary. You carry that effect without even trying. It's your spiritual fingerprint, the mark of authenticity in an artificial world. Your discernment has never been about exposing others publicly. It's about maintaining purity privately. You don't need to point out deception. You simply stop participating in it. The strength of your spirit lies in restraint. You've learned that silence often speaks louder than accusation. Over time, you discovered a new kind of peace. You no longer feel the urge to defend yourself against false narratives. You don't chase explanations. You simply stand in truth, knowing that time is the greatest witness. What needs to be seen will surface without your interference. According to what is revealed in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble. He knows those who trust in Him." That is your anchor. You've been through storms where trust was tested, where loyalty fractured like glass. But even as human alliances broke, divine protection held. God didn't let your discernment wound you beyond repair. He used it to fortify you. And now, you move differently. You walk softly, but with power. You look at people through layers, seeing not just what they say, but what they carry. You can feel whether someone brings peace or pollution before they speak a word. That sensitivity, once overwhelming, has become your compass. In this stage, you no longer fear exposure, you expect it, because you've realized something sacred. When masks fall, authenticity rises. You've learned to bless endings, to thank heaven for separations that seemed unfair at first. You've stopped mourning what was never meant to stay. When you look back, you'll see that every crack in false connection made room for truth. The spaces left empty by pretenders became openings for divine replacements. The peace you walk in now was purchased through pain, but it's the kind of peace that can't be stolen. You are no longer a seeker of validation, you are a guardian of clarity. You don't chase company, you attract alignment. And because of that, you walk with an aura of quiet authority. You don't need to convince anyone of who you are. Your presence does the talking. So let the masks fall where they may. Let people reveal themselves in their own time. Your task is not to manage their exposure, but to maintain your purity. Stay true, stay watchful, and keep your spirit untainted. For every false light that dims, a true one begins to rise, and that true light is you. Your light terrifies darkness, not because it's loud, but because it's pure. You don't have to try to expose anything. Your very existence unsettles what pretends to be genuine. When you walk into a space, the unseen begins to shift. Spirits adjust, masks stiffen, pretenses falter. It's not pride, it's presence. You carry an atmosphere that cannot coexist with deceit. It took you time to understand why some people grew distant without explanation. You thought maybe you'd said something wrong. Maybe your energy was too much. But the truth is simpler. Purity makes the impure uncomfortable. When light enters a room, shadows scatter not out of choice, but because they cannot remain. You are that light. Discernment has changed you in ways you didn't expect. You used to react when energy felt off. Now, you observe. You used to chase clarity. Now, you let it come to you. You've learned that truth doesn't require force. It reveals itself naturally. Just as dawn needs no announcement to replace night, your presence quietly brings exposure without words. There's an old saying that light doesn't fight darkness. It simply appears, and darkness has to leave. That's the story of your life. You've walked into environments carrying unseen peace, and without saying a word, situations began to reveal themselves. Some smiled in your face, but their eyes couldn't hide. Others tried to manipulate, but your spirit discerned before they spoke. The peace you carry is disruptive to anyone protecting pretense. You may not fully grasp the magnitude of that. There's something powerful about being a living atmosphere of truth. The more you grow in it, the more everything false around you begins to suffocate. That's not cruelty, it's cleansing. Your discernment doesn't destroy people, it gives them a choice. They can rise into authenticity or retreat into avoidance. Think about fire. It warms or it burns depending on what touches it. You are that fire. To those who seek honesty, your presence feels like comfort. To those who live in deceit, it feels like confrontation. Either way, your light provokes transformation. Let me tell you about a man who carried such a presence. He was quiet, observant, content with simplicity. But wherever he went, hidden things surfaced. People confessed wrongs without him asking. Opportunities revealed hidden costs. And even in silence, truth would manifest. One day, he asked God, "Why does everything come to light around me?" The answer came softly, "Because I trust you with truth." And that's what your life mirrors. Heaven trusts you with truth. Your spirit is calibrated to divine honesty. And that's why falsehood can't survive near you. You've become a mirror that reflects reality as it is, not as people wish it to be. According to what is spoken in the book of John, chapter 1, verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And that scripture is more than a verse, it's your identity. Every time you stand firm in peace while lies swirl around you, you embody that word. You are proof that light doesn't need to argue, it just needs to remain. You've probably noticed how certain people avoid deep eye contact with you. It's not intimidation, it's exposure. Eyes are gates, and when they meet yours, they feel the weight of truth. You read souls the way others read faces, not through judgment, but through discernment. That's a rare grace, one that requires humility to carry. Well, you've also learned that power must be anchored in love. If light lacks compassion, it becomes harsh. That's why you've asked God to temper your discernment with mercy, to help you see without condemning, to understand without absorbing the pain of what you perceive. That balance is your strength, and that's how heaven uses you now. Not as a weapon, but as a warning, not to shame, but to shift. Wherever you go, hidden motives tremble because they sense they're standing before someone who cannot be deceived. You are not judging them, you are reminding them that truth still exists. When you walk away from manipulation, you're not rejecting people, you're rejecting compromise. You've learned that peace is not passive, it's powerful. Every step you take in calmness is a declaration. I will not dim my light to make darkness comfortable. End quote. And because of that, you've become unshakable. You carry quiet authority that doesn't need to prove itself. You speak less, yet your silence speaks more. You move gently, yet your presence leaves impact. That's the mystery of divine light. It never forces, but it always transforms. So walk boldly in it. Don't shrink for the sake of comfort. Don't apologize for being awake. Remember, darkness fears discovery, but truth never fears light. Keep shining, because the moment you do, the world around you remembers what honesty feels like. Discernment doesn't come without cost. You've carried sight that others prayed for but weren't ready to live with. You've seen intentions before they unfolded, betrayal before it struck, and endings before goodbyes were spoken. That kind of vision isolates the heart. It makes you walk through corridors of silence where only God understands your language. It's not that you don't want connection, it's that connection feels different when you can sense motives. You've sat in conversations pretending not to notice the shift, pretending not to hear the unspoken words behind polite laughter. But your spirit always knows. You feel the tremor before the fall, the storm before the cloud forms. And while others think you're distant, you're actually discerning. Sometimes you wish you could unsee. You wish you could meet people without reading their hidden chapters. But heaven didn't give you this gift so you could close your eyes. It gave it so you could guard your peace. Discernment isn't about suspicion, it's about safety. There was once a chosen one who learned this lesson in the hardest way. She loved deeply, trusted quickly, forgave repeatedly. But every time she ignored her discernment, pain followed like a shadow. One night, after another betrayal, she sat in prayer and said, "God, why show me things if I can't change them?" The answer came softly, "Because knowing protects you when proof is still hiding." From that night on, she stopped fighting her intuition and started flowing with it. That's the same wisdom guiding you now. You no longer explain your distance or justify your silence. You understand that not every truth requires exposure. Some just need awareness. That's maturity. Learning that you can see everything and still choose peace. There's strength in this stillness you've grown into. You don't rush to correct, you observe and adjust. You don't chase validation anymore. You've realized that discernment is its own confirmation. Truth doesn't need witnesses when heaven has already shown it to you. It's strange how peace feels louder now. The same places that once buzzed with noise can't reach you anymore. You've become guarded, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. That's how spiritual growth feels, sometimes quiet, detached, serene. You're not cold, you're simply anchored. And yes, there are moments of loneliness. It's normal. Prophets always felt the sting of separation before the sweetness of revelation. You're walking in the same lineage. Every isolation is preparation for deeper intimacy with God. According to what is written in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 5, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously to all, without finding fault, and it will be given. That verse isn't just instruction, it's invitation. God isn't angry that you question, He's pleased that you still ask. Wisdom flows when humility leads. Every time you lean into divine guidance, instead of reacting in emotion, you grow stronger in discernment. You've reached the point where peace is your filter. You measure everything by it. Relationships, opportunities, conversations. If peace fades, you step back. If your spirit tightens, you pose. That is not paranoia, it's protection. You're no longer operating in fear, but in awareness. Remember, chosen one discernment doesn't make you distant from people, it draws you closer to purpose. The fewer voices you entertain, the clearer God's whisper becomes. The world may call it isolation, but heaven calls it consecration. So don't doubt what you sense. You are not imagining the heaviness before certain people enter the room. You're reading the spiritual weather, and heaven has made you its forecaster. Stand confident in what you carry. Trust that divine sensitivity, because it's leading you away from imitation and into authenticity. Comment, I stay aware. Oh, type it as a vow to yourself, not as performance. It's a reminder that you will never again apologize for your clarity. You will not shrink to make others comfortable in their shadows. You will walk with open eyes, alert, grounded, and guided. Your awareness is not your burden, it's your blessing. It's how heaven keeps you one step ahead. Always guarded, never blindsel. Keep watching with love, and keep walking with peace. And when you write I stay aware, let it echo beyond the screen. You're declaring spiritual alertness, a promise to remain sensitive to truth, unmoved by manipulation, steady in clarity. It's not defense, it's devotion to discernment itself. Each time you repeat it, heaven aligns your senses again. You begin to feel lighter, freer, wiser. Awareness becomes your armor, silent, strong, and sacred. Vindication has a quiet sound. It's not thunder. It's the soft click of justice falling into place. You've waited long for this moment, not out of pride, but because your heart needed peace more than proof. Every time they doubted your discernment, heaven took note. Every time you stayed silent while misunderstood, heaven remembered. And now, like dawn breaking after a long storm, truth begins to rise on its own. You no longer need to shout, "See, I was right." The evidence speaks for itself. The same people who called you dramatic now find themselves walking through the same revelations you once tried to explain. You didn't need revenge. God gave you restoration. Vindication is not about winning, it's about witnessing. It's standing still long enough to watch divine order reassemble what confusion once tore apart. There's no gloating in your heart, only gratitude, because you finally understand some storms don't come to destroy you. They come to reveal who stands with you when the winds howl. Let me tell you about a man who carried this same grace. He worked in silence, planting seeds in soil everyone called barren. Years went by with no fruit. People mocked him. But one morning, the first green shoots broke through. What no one realized was that the roots had been growing the whole time. Deep beneath the surface, vindication doesn't shout, it blooms. You've been growing like that underground, unnoticed, steady. Your discernment planted invisible roots of integrity, and now the harvest begins to show. Those who doubted your motives will see your fruits. That's how God answers accusation with evidence, not argument. But even now, in this moment of rising, you remain humble. You know that the same hand that revealed the truth could have exposed you too, if not for mercy. That's why your victory feels sacred, not sharp. You don't weaponize your vindication. You wear it gently, like sunlight on your shoulders. Think of your life as a lighthouse again, its purpose never to compete with the sea, but to guide ships safely home. Message you receive. Each truth you live becomes another light in that tower, and every soul that finds direction through it becomes part of the reason the flame must stay burning. We find in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 4, He is the rock. His works are perfect, and all his ways are just. A faithful God, who does no wrong. Upright and just is he. That scripture sums up your season. God's justice doesn't rush, but it's always right. You may have been accused, misunderstood, or dismissed, but every wrong step around you was still leading to divine rightness. The rock has held you firm through it all. Now, let's talk about the oil that keeps this lighthouse glowing. This space, the words you hear, the truth that meets you when you least expect it, isn't built on noise, it's built on light. And even light needs oil to keep burning. So if this message has poured peace into your life, tap like as a small act of gratitude. Share it not for attention, but so someone else lost in confusion might find clarity through your ripple of kindness. Subscribe if you want to stay connected to this flow of discernment, to keep growing in light together. And if your heart feels stirred, consider donating not out of duty, but as a personal reflection of gratitude. Think of it as pouring a drop of oil back into the lantern that once lit your path. When you give, you're not funding a message, you're fueling a movement of clarity. Every seed you sow becomes a candle for someone else's darkness. Every act of generosity becomes a spark in this great circle of light. It's like tending a fire that warmed you once, so others can feel its heat after you've gone. You don't give because you're asked. You give because you understand. That's what makes generosity sacred. It's voluntary illumination. And even if all you can give is a moment of prayer, that too keeps the light alive. Every thought of gratitude is a spark heaven never ignores. So as vindication settles, let your heart rest. What was hidden has been revealed. What was stolen is being restored. You don't owe explanation to anyone. Your peace is the only proof you need. But if you do feel led, let your action, whether a click, a share, or a gift, be your way of saying, "The light helped me, and I will help keep it burning." Because this isn't about building followers, it's about building flame keepers. Every gesture of love sustains the light. And together, we become a constellation, each spark shining where darkness once ruled. In the stillness of your discernment, you've learned to hear whispers that others miss. There is a rhythm to divine communication, a language spoken not in volume, but in vibration. While the world searches for signs in chaos, you've discovered that God speaks clearest in quiet. You didn't always recognize his voice. At first, every thought felt like noise, every impulse like confusion. You questioned yourself, wondering whether you were just overanalyzing life. But with time, your spirit began to mature. You realized that discernment isn't just about detecting deception, it's also about distinguishing divine direction from distraction. That awareness transformed your entire spiritual frequency. Now, you understand the difference between noise and message. The noise pulls you into reaction. The message pulls you into reflection. You've grown sensitive enough to recognize when a thought carries peace rather than panic. That's how God trains his chosen ones, not through chaos, but through calibration. Think back to those nights when your spirit felt restless, yet you couldn't explain why. You'd scroll through your phone, sit in silence, stare into the ceiling. Something inside you was unsettled. Later, you realized it wasn't anxiety, it was alignment. Heaven was trying to get your attention, calling you out of distraction into communion. There's a reason why divine whispers often come when the world is asleep. God waits for the noise of the day to fade before speaking secrets to those who can stay awake. You've become one of those, the listener in the night, the quiet one whose spirit hears beyond words. Let me tell you about a man who lived that way. He was ordinary by appearance, a craftsman, quiet, disciplined. Yet, every morning before dawn, he would sit near the window and just listen, not for sounds, but for silence. Over time, he learned that the silence had shape. It carried revelation. He began to write down what he sensed, small impressions that later unfolded into divine instructions. What looked like stillness to others was actually strategy. That's what your discernment feels like now, strategic silence. You're no longer reacting to every emotion or chasing every opportunity. You've learned that the enemy works through noise, but God works through nuance. You don't need lightning bolts to know what's true, you just need stillness. According to what is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 21, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it." And that verse describes the inner compass you now carry. It's not dramatic, it's precise. You hear that gentle voice when decisions come. You sense that quiet tug when something doesn't align. And because you've learned to obey that whisper, your path has begun to straighten. You no longer chase clarity, it finds you. Every time you choose stillness over striving, revelation meets you halfway. It's not about effort anymore, it's about attunement. You've become a tuning fork for truth, resonating with divine frequency, dissonant with deception. And now, you've entered a season where the whispers are becoming clearer. The fog that once clouded your mind is lifting. You've learned that discernment grows through surrender, not striving. The more you yield, the louder heaven sounds. This is the beauty of spiritual maturity. You no longer need confirmation from everyone else. You trust what you hear in the quiet, because you've tested it in the storm. You've proven that peace is the truest prophecy. You are no longer led by urgency, but by awareness. You don't panic when plans change. You pause, listen, and adjust. That's wisdom in motion, gentle yet grounded, invisible yet influential. Sometimes, the greatest revelation is not in what God says, but in what He silences. He doesn't always answer with words. Sometimes, He answers by removing confusion. That's how you know you've grown. You can now recognize God not just by what He gives, but by what He guards you from. So continue to listen differently. Trust the gentle pull more than the loud demand. Heaven is not in the earthquake or the fire, it's in the whisper that follows. And that whisper is already speaking within you, steady, calm, unmistakably divine. That whisper teaches you rhythm, the timing of obedience. It's not just what to do, but when to do it. Every pause, every delay, every step holds meaning in heaven's choreography of purpose. When you master stillness, you master strength. Silence is not weakness, it's preparation. In the quiet, your spirit rehearses obedience until timing turns revelation into manifestation. Keep listening beyond noise. Every gentle nudge, every sacred silence is heaven, speaking in code. And when your heart stays tuned, even the softest whisper becomes a trumpet of divine direction. There comes a moment when your presence alone becomes the revelation. You don't need to say much anymore. Your stillness speaks. Your peace testifies. People can sense when they step near you that something about you has shifted. You've stopped reacting, stopped chasing closure, stopped proving points. You now live from a place of quiet knowing. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. It's not louder. It's lighter. It's the calm that confuses your critics, the stability that unsettles unstable hearts. You are no longer defined by what people think of you. You are anchored in what heaven said about you. Every season of discernment has refined you for this. The misunderstandings, the waiting, the isolation, all of it formed an inner confidence that doesn't need attention to feel affirmed. You've been through enough deception to know authenticity when it stands before you. You no longer need to question everything, you just listen, sense, and move. The beautiful irony of discernment is that the more you see, the less you need to speak. You understand now that truth doesn't always need defense, it simply waits for exposure. And while others scramble to control narratives, you've learned to let time do what your words never could. Let me tell you about someone who lived in that same quiet authority. There was a woman whose peace was her power. Whenever conflict erupted around her, she didn't argue. She observed. She would smile softly, step back, and let events unfold. People mistook her silence for weakness until truth began to emerge, exactly as she had sensed it. She never said, "I told you so." She just smiled again, knowing discernment needs no validation. That's the posture of someone who's graduated from reaction to revelation. You're there now. You don't need the last word, because peace is your punctuation. You've also learned that discernment can convict without confrontation. Sometimes, when you enter a space, those hiding dissent start to fidget. They avoid eye contact or grow defensive without cause. It's not because you've accused them, it's because your presence carries light. Truth doesn't chase lies, it exposes them by existing, according to what is written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 12. For the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. Embo, that is what your spirit does. Now, it separates truth from pretense, not through hostility, but through holiness. Your discernment carries the sharpness of that word, yet it's wrapped in gentleness. You don't cut to wound, you cut to free. You've also become more discerning about yourself. You recognize your own motives before they mislead you. That's real growth when your gift turns inward, refining rather than just revealing. You've stopped just seeing truth. Now you embody it. This is where heaven trusts you with greater clarity, because you've proven that revelation won't make you arrogant, only aware. God reveals more to those who protect what's sacred, not those who exploit it. You are one of those guardians now, a keeper of light, not just a carrier. You may notice lately that your discernment feels deeper. It's not limited to people anymore. It extends to places, atmospheres, even decisions. You can feel when a door is right before it opens. You can sense when peace leaves a conversation. That's heaven giving you direction through sensitivity. But this sensitivity doesn't make you fragile. It makes you faithful. You've learned to rest even when you sense storms. You trust that what you see is not for fear, it's for foresight. And foresight always produces safety. Every gift from God carries both revelation and responsibility. Yours is no different. You carry insight, but you also carry compassion. You don't use discernment to control, you use it to comfort. You don't seek to expose, you seek to heal. That's what separates you from those who merely observe you, discern with love. And right now, heaven is confirming that your clarity will open doors no one can shut. Where confusion once clouded you, direction will now flow easily. You've been refined to recognize truth in every form, even when it's uncomfortable. So if this word resonates with your spirit, if you can feel that your discernment is entering a new level of precision, let this moment be your confirmation. Comment 888, not as superstition, but as symbol. The number 8 represents resurrection, renewal, and new beginnings. When you write it 3 times, you're declaring triple rebirth: spirit, soul, and destiny being refreshed by divine timing. You're saying, I rise into new clarity. When you type it, imagine 3 ripples forming in calm water, each expanding wider with light. That's heaven marking your transition out of confusion into confidence, out of delay into divine flow. You no longer just see truth, you sustain it. Wherever you go, revelation lives longer because of your presence. You've become not only the discerner, but the embodiment of renewal itself. The deeper you walk with discernment, the more you realize it isn't a shield to hide behind, it's a sword to wield with wisdom. You've come to understand that every revelation requires restraint, and every insight demands humility. God never intended your sight to make you superior. He meant for it to make you safer. Discernment can feel heavy because it carries accountability. When you see clearly, you can no longer pretend you don't. You've reached the stage where ignorance is no longer available to you. And that awareness can feel isolating, but it's also freeing. You don't need to depend on appearances anymore. You live from spiritual instinct, guided by what your soul recognizes before your eyes confirm it. There was a time when you mistook discernment for judgment. You thought seeing flaws meant condemning people, but maturity has changed your perspective. Now you understand God reveals, not so you can react, but so you can intercede. He shows you weakness, not for criticism, but for compassion. What once offended you now moves you to prayer. You've grown enough to handle what you see without losing your tenderness. That's not easy. It takes courage to see darkness and still believe in light. But that's what makes your discernment so powerful. It's balanced by grace. You can perceive the poison without becoming bitter. You can recognize manipulation without becoming mistrustful. You are learning how to hold knowledge without letting it harden your heart. Let me tell you about a teacher who carried that same balance. He saw into people deeply. He could discern pain behind pride and fear behind anger. But instead of calling it out, he covered it with kindness. His students never realized that every lesson he taught was written from what he had seen in their spirits. He didn't expose, he guided. That's the beauty of true discernment. It doesn't shame people, it shepherds them. You've become that kind of guide. People are drawn to you, not just for advice, but for the peace you carry. They may not articulate it, but they feel safer around your calmness. That's because you no longer react to surface storms. You address the spiritual winds that cause them. You know how to trace pain back to its root. You've learned that anger often hides fear, and pride often hides insecurity. You no longer take offense. You take responsibility for staying in love. According to what is revealed in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 9, love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Oh, that scripture has become the rhythm of your spirit. Discernment without love turns into suspicion. But love without discernment turns into naivety. You've mastered the middle ground, the ability to see evil without absorbing it, and to see good without idolizing it. That's spiritual equilibrium. You walk now like someone carrying invisible armor, not because you fear attack, but because you've learned the pattern of warfare. The battle is rarely outside. It begins in the unseen. Discernment helps you spot the thought before it becomes a trap, the doubt before it becomes defeat. You can feel the first tremor of distraction before it derails your peace. Still, even warriors get weary. There are days when you wish you could switch it off, when you long for the innocence of not knowing. But you remember, awareness is your calling. It's the gift that keeps you a step ahead of destruction. You are heaven's early warning system on earth. Every revelation you carry is a responsibility you've earned. God trusts you to handle what others would mishandle. That's why your path is narrower. It's built for precision, not popularity. You were never meant to be understood by the masses. You were meant to be effective in the spirit. So don't resent what sets you apart. You are not strange for seeing deeply. You are sacredly equipped. Discernment is the proof of your partnership with heaven. And though it can be lonely, it is also holy. The truth is, you were never just meant to see. You were meant to heal what you see. Every revelation you receive carries redemption within it. And as long as you keep your heart soft, your sight will never become cynical. So keep walking with eyes open and heart unarmored. Keep seeing truth and choosing mercy. You are not just surviving with discernment, you are thriving through it. Because your light, grounded in love, doesn't expose to embarrass, it exposes to enlighten. And as you continue, remember this: discernment without compassion divides, but discernment with love restores. You are the bridge between what is broken and what is becoming whole again. There is a crown that cannot be seen by human eyes, the crown of discernment. It isn't made of gold or jewels, but of understanding, humility, and endurance. You've carried that crown quietly, long before others even realized what rested on your spirit. It was forged in moments when you chose clarity over comfort, truth over acceptance, and peace over popularity. This crown didn't appear overnight. It was shaped by every tear you shed in silence, every time you held your tongue while truth burned inside you. Discernment often feels like fire. It purifies, but it also isolates. You've walked through those flames without losing your softness. That's why your crown fits so perfectly now, because it was molded through surrender, not ambition. There's a beauty in carrying a gift that others misunderstand. For some, discernment feels threatening because it cannot be deceived. But for you, it's sacred. It's a dialogue between your spirit and heaven's voice. The more you wear this mantle, the more you realize it's not about seeing through others. It's about seeing with God. You've reached a maturity where your vision no longer serves curiosity. It serves calling. You don't see things just to know. You see so that you can lead, pray, and protect. That's the weight of your crown. It demands purpose over pride. You may not have realized it, but this crown began forming the moment you first obeyed that still, small voice. Every time you trusted your intuition, despite ridicule, another gem was added. Every time you forgave those who betrayed your sight, another band of light was woven into it. And every time you remained kind when you could have been cold, the gold became stronger. Let me tell you about a man who bore a similar crown. He wasn't famous or admired. He lived quietly, serving where he was placed, but his discernment was sharp. People came to him not because he was loud, but because he was steady. When asked how he could see so clearly, he answered, "Because I don't look with suspicion, I look with stillness." That was his secret. He didn't wear his gift like armor, he wore it like grace. You've learned that same art. You no longer feel the need to announce what you discern. You understand that true authority doesn't need attention. It's the calmness in your presence that reveals your depth. When others panic, you pause. When others accuse, you analyze. You've become the balance that chaos cannot shake. According to what is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 16, how much better to get wisdom than gold, to get insight rather than silver. And that verse defines your inheritance. You were never called to chase wealth or recognition. You were called to carry wisdom. And the wisdom you carry is more enduring than any treasure. It cannot be stolen, replicated, or lost. It is the invisible jewel that marks you as chosen. You've also realized that this crown demands responsibility. Every revelation you receive must be handled with discretion. You can't share everything you see, nor should you. Some truths are meant to be guarded, like royal secrets between you and God. That's how heaven trains trusted voices, through restraint, not reaction. And though few may understand the burden of what you carry, heaven honors it. You are part of a quiet lineage of watchers, those who perceive what others ignore, who sense danger before it strikes, who carry peace like a weapon. You're not paranoid, you're prepared. Sometimes this crown feels heavy, doesn't it? There are days when you'd rather not know, when you'd rather blend in and stop seeing through smiles. But that's the cost of awareness. It demands courage to stay kind while knowing too much. Yet even in that tension, grace keeps you balanced. You've learned how to rest while being alert, how to stay open without becoming vulnerable to harm. That's the wisdom of the crowned watching, yet not worrying. You've learned that discernment, when rooted in love, becomes peace itself. So wear your crown without apology. It doesn't make you better than others. It makes you responsible for them. You were chosen not to rule, but to reveal, to guide others back to authenticity, simply by being true. And when you walk into rooms now, you'll notice something new. People stand taller. Words soften, and peace settles. That's not coincidence, it's influence. Your discernment shifts the atmosphere, not by demand, but by quiet dominion. So, continue walking with grace. Chosen one, keep your crown polished with humility, your heart steady with peace, and your spirit clothed in truth. Because discernment, when worn rightly, doesn't make you a judge, it makes you a guardian of light. There's a moment when your voice stops sounding like opinion and starts resonating like prophecy. You've reached that moment now. Your words carry weight, not because they're loud, but because they come from lived truth. You've spent seasons speaking softly into silence, and heaven has turned that silence into power. Your discernment has ripened into declaration. When you speak now, even the air seems to pause. It's not arrogance, it's anointing. God has trained your tone in stillness so that when you finally open your mouth, it echoes like thunder wrapped in calm. You've seen too much to waste words on noise. You understand that your voice is a trumpet, but not every battle deserves a sound. Some truths are too sacred to be shouted. Others must be whispered, carried by wind into waiting hearts. That's the rhythm you've mastered, the divine tempo of speaking only when instructed and trusting silence when not. Let me tell you about someone who learned that same rhythm. He lived on a mountaintop, surrounded by people who came to hear him teach. Yet, most days, he spoke little. He said that words are like arrows. They must be pulled back before they can fly straight. The crowd thought his silence meant indifference. But in truth, it was precision. When he finally spoke, his sentences cut through confusion like sunlight slicing fog. That's the kind of clarity you now walk in. You've learned that the purpose of voice isn't performance, it's impact. And impact doesn't require volume, it requires virtue. Your discernment has turned your words into mirrors, showing people the reflections they avoid. Not to humiliate, but to heal. When you speak, truth no longer feels harsh, it feels holy. Because your intent isn't to prove you're right, it's to remind others of what's real. Every phrase you utter now carries grace like fragrance, lingering after you've left the room. It was proclaimed in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 29. Is not my word like fire, declares the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? That verse describes the essence of your voice. Now it burns through lies and breaks open hardened hearts. Yet it does so with warmth, not wrath. Your speech is no longer reactionary, it's redemptive. You've realized that influence doesn't mean control, it means cultivation. The soil of every soul you touch begins to shift. People start to see themselves through the reflection of your calmness, your insight, your compassion. They awaken not because you demanded it, but because truth, spoken in love, always invites transformation. That's what this space, this journey, has been about. Each word here is not just sound, its seed. Each message planted in the heart of a listener becomes another garden of awakening somewhere unseen. That's why, if this message has watered something in your spirit, let your appreciation flow naturally like rain returning to the ocean. Tap like. If this word found you at the right moment, not as reaction, but as recognition. If you felt truth spark in your chest, share it. Not to advertise, but to extend the light like passing a candle to someone still walking through the dark. And if your spirit feels drawn to stay in this rhythm of revelation, subscribe not as a follower, but as a fellow flame keeper. Each new heart that joins adds warmth to the fire we're tending together. If gratitude stirs in you, consider a donation, not as duty, but as poetry, like placing a flower at the foot of a lighthouse that once guided you home. You're not giving to a voice, you're sustaining the light that once found you. And before you go, leave a comment, not because you're asked, but because your words are also seeds. Write what your spirit heard. Your reflection may become the bridge someone else needs tomorrow. Every small act, listening, sharing, giving, speaking, becomes part of a tapestry woven with invisible threads of grace. You may never know how far the light travels, but heaven measures every flicker. Generosity, in its purest form, is worship. It says, I have received, and now I return. You're not compelled to act, you're invited to join in beauty. And even if all you do is whisper, thank you, that too is offering. Gratitude releases energy that strengthens the whole. Your quiet amen keeps the fire alive just as much as any act of giving. So, as this word settles in your soul, remember, you are part of a living flame, not an audience. Every touch, every echo, keeps revelation alive for someone still finding their way. Your voice matters, your presence matters, and your light, yes, your light helps bridge heaven's truth with earth's noise. Speak when guided, give when moved, listen when led. Together, we'll keep this fire burning, not by force, but by faith. One act of beauty at a time. There comes a sacred turning point, the moment when the power begins to shift. You've been sensing it for a while, haven't you? The quiet rearranging of circumstances, the subtle closing of old doors, the strange way peace has returned to places that once felt suffocating. You are no longer standing in defense, you are standing in dominion. What once oppressed you now moves out of your way. This is the divine reversal when tables turn without you touching them. Heaven begins to balance the scales, not through noise or confrontation, but through unseen orchestration. Those who misjudged you are beginning to see the truth. Those who underestimated you are realizing how much strength humility can hide. The shift of power isn't loud, it's strategic. It doesn't announce itself, it unfolds like dawn, one ray at a time. That's how God moves. Exalts gradually and reveals suddenly. It's in this rhythm that you've been walking. You've been learning that vindication doesn't always mean people returning it. Often means peace replacing them. God's justice isn't always about revenge. It's about release. You've let go of needing closure. And that's why you're finally free. The moment you stopped chasing explanations was the moment heaven began to accelerate your elevation. There's a story of a woman who spent years in the shadows, serving faithfully, unseen, and uncelebrated. People spoke about her as if she'd missed her chance. But she stayed steady, obedient, unseen yet unwavering. One day, a door opened that no one expected. The opportunity came not from the people she thought would help her, but from strangers whose hearts God had prepared long before. Overnight, everything changed, but she hadn't. Her humility positioned her where pride could never stand. That's the kind of shift happening for you. The doors you thought were closed permanently were simply being preserved for the right season. The voices that silenced you only trained your spirit to speak with discernment. You've been refined in private, so that when the spotlight finally comes, you will shine without arrogance. The word of the Lord declares in the book of Micah, chapter 7, verse 8, "Do not gloat over me, my enemy. Though I fall, I will rise again. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light." That verse doesn't just describe recovery, it declares resurrection. Even the darkness that tried to silence you has become the soil where your strength took root. You didn't just survive the night, you learned how to glow within it. You no longer operate from reaction, but from authority. You've learned that silence can be strategy, and that peace is not passivity, it's power. The very areas that once drained you now draw strength from you. That's the evidence of divine exchange, the weak becoming the weapon, the wounded becoming the wise. This power shift isn't just external, it's internal. You've stopped living as if you need permission to be powerful. You finally understand that humility and authority were never enemies, they were always twins. The quiet ones are often the most commanding because their peace carries weight. And now, heaven is repositioning you. You're stepping into rooms that used to intimidate you. But this time, you carry peace instead of fear. You speak softly, yet everything around you listens. You no longer seek validation, you bring value. You no longer chase opportunities, opportunities recognize you. Those who once resisted your growth will now need what you carry. The very places that once rejected you will start requesting your presence. This is not coincidence, it's completion. The circle has closed, yet even in this victory, your spirit stays calm. You don't celebrate with arrogance, you celebrate with awareness. You know that every blessing is both reward and responsibility. Power without purity becomes poison. And that's why God waited until your heart was healed before handing you influence. Look around, you'll notice the evidence. Peace feels thicker now. Your discernment feels sharper, but lighter. You're not drained by perception anymore, you're fueled by purpose. That's the mark of the shift. So walk with quiet confidence. You don't need to announce the change. You are the change. You carry authority, not in your voice, but in your atmosphere. Wherever you go, balance follows. Wherever you stand, falsehood trembles. The shift of power is not about dominance, it's about restoration. You are not rising to conquer people, you are rising to complete purpose. This is not revenge, it's realignment. The light you carry has been tested by fire and proven unshakable. So, step forward, crowned by grace, armored in truth, and guided by peace. The tables have turned not in your favor, but in your fulfillment. You are no longer the one fighting for place. You are the one chosen for purpose. There comes a point where the journey no longer feels like survival. It feels like sovereignty. You've crossed that threshold. You no longer move with hesitation or fear. because you finally understand who you are and who walks beside you. The long seasons of confusion, rejection, and waiting have turned into wisdom. You're walking now, not as the wounded, but as the wise. Every trial that once made you question your worth has become the foundation of your confidence. Every tear has turned into oil for your anointing. You used to see pain as punishment. Now you see it as preparation. What once broke you now builds you. And every scar you carry shines as proof that grace held you, even when you thought you'd fallen too far. You stand now in a quiet strength that doesn't demand to be seen. You've discovered that true power is peaceful, that the loudest victory is calmness, and that discernment, at its peak, looks like gentleness. The storm inside you has finally obeyed the stillness of God. There's something holy about this stage of your story. You don't need to prove, persuade, or perform anymore. You've learned that the greatest evidence of transformation is consistency, showing up in peace every day, regardless of who notices. You used to pray for open doors. Now you thank God for closed ones, because discernment has taught you that not every opportunity is destiny, and not every invitation deserves access. Let me tell you about a traveler who once wandered endlessly through deserts, searching for purpose. Every horizon promised hope, but none brought peace. One night, exhausted, he sat beside a well and finally stopped striving. In that silence, he realized he hadn't been lost. He'd been led. Every detour had been divine direction. The moment he surrendered his rush, he discovered his route. That's your revelation too. You were never behind schedule. Every delay was alignment. Every silence was strategy. You weren't waiting for something to happen. You were being shaped into someone prepared. According to what is written in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9, "The glory of this latter house shall be greater than the former, says the Lord of hosts, and in this place I will grant peace." No, that's not just prophecy, it's promise. The version of you emerging now carries greater glory, deeper peace, and sharper discernment than ever before. The earlier seasons were not wasted. They were workshops of resilience. Heaven was constructing your foundation in unseen places. Now you understand why it all had to happen: the betrayal, the loneliness, the closed doors, the unanswered prayers. They weren't punishments, they were preservation. God was protecting your timing and purifying your motives. You couldn't rise then because your strength wasn't rooted yet. But now, your roots run deep. You are grounded, unshakable, and ready for everything that once frightened you. You've learned that discernment is more than a gift, it's a posture. It's living awake in a world that prefers to sleep. It's walking in compassion while carrying clarity. You no longer fight to be understood. You rest in being known. The same spirit that revealed the motives of others has also revealed the beauty within you. You've stopped defining yourself by what left and started cherishing what remained. You've seen people come and go, seasons rise and fall, but peace has stayed. That's the mark of divine maturity, when stability becomes your silent testimony. Now your steps are steady, your words intentional, your heart guarded yet generous. You move differently because you see differently. You discern not only what's coming, but also what's complete. That's how heaven measures growth, not by what you gain, but by what no longer controls you. So here you are, the chosen one, walking unshaken. You are proof that clarity can coexist with kindness, that strength can remain soft, and that discernment, when refined, becomes wisdom itself. You no longer live in reaction to darkness, you live in rhythm with light. Every breath you take is guided, every step aligned. You've become the embodiment of answered prayer, the living result of unseen faithfulness. And as this chapter closes, you'll notice the world around you responding differently. Doors open smoothly, conversations flow with ease. Your very presence becomes a reminder that heaven keeps promises. Even when the wait feels endless, you are not who you were at the beginning of this story. You are steadier, wiser, and radiant with purpose. The discernment that once isolated you has now crowned you. You walk in peace that others can feel but cannot explain. This is the fulfillment of the journey, the merging of vision and victory. You don't need to search for signs anymore. You've become one. Every step you take now is prophecy fulfilled, steady, sacred, and seen by heaven. And now, the journey rests here full circle. You began uncertain, questioning the voice within you, wondering why you saw what others missed. But through every revelation, through every silence, through every tear, you've become unshakable. Your eyes no longer search for confirmation, they rest in conviction. You no longer fear what's hidden, you trust what's revealed. This isn't the end, it's the unfolding of your next beginning. You are walking into a season where peace is your pace, discernment your compass, and grace your constant companion. The story doesn't end with applause, it continues with alignment. And if this message has found you, if somewhere inside your spirit you felt recognized, pause for a moment. Breathe. Let gratitude rise gently, like morning light over still water. If something in these words reminded you of who you truly are, tap like, not as an act of habit, but as a quiet acknowledgement that truth still moves you. If you know someone who's walking through confusion or waiting for clarity, share this word. It may be the whisper they've been praying for in the dark. If you've felt the resonance of these messages and want to stay connected to this flow of light, subscribe, not as a follower, but as part of a family of listeners who choose awareness over noise. And if your heart stirs with peace, consider a donation, not out of duty, but as a gentle reflection of gratitude, like adding oil to a lamp that once guided you home. Your gift keeps the light alive for another soul searching through shadow. Finally, leave a comment below. Write what your heart heard. Your words might become the bridge another reader needs to cross their night. The journey continues, one heart, one truth, one light at a time. Thank you for walking it faithfully. The flame burns brighter because of you.